Hey guys, hi, Bryson here, and welcome to my show. And today we're about to find out exactly what's the worst money Kevin Gates, a rapper, has ever spent. I always hear, for example, cars and jewelry, but I want to find out exactly what he spent his money on that he actually regrets. So let's find out right here. If you're new here, guys, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you're notified. I post videos on the channel every single day, and also destroy the like button. Without further ado, let's find out exactly how Kevin Gates spends his millions.
The best piece of financial advice I ever got was, instead of watching every dime, watch every penny.
Who gave you that advice?
Some rich white guy. Hey, what's
I think the definition of that is basically, instead of looking at the big money you're actually making, the dimes in this case, look at the pennies and where they're actually going, okay? A lot of people basically spend money on little things here and there, but it add up to be a lot of money. So I think that's exactly what it means, okay? Look at the small stuff as much as you look at the big stuff.
happening? I'm Kevin Gates, and I'm about to tell y'all about the worst million I ever spent, and I'm gonna tell y'all about the best million I ever spent. Y'all heard of Men's Health? This is Men's Wealth.
Oh, that is awesome, okay? The best million and the worst million. Most people never get to that, like, to make that much money like that fast. So it's awesome to see exactly how to spend the money, so you can also, prevent a mistake once you get there also.
Let me tell y'all about my worst million I ever spent in my life. I spent millions of dollars on clothes, jewelry, and cars because I was insecure and I was...
What? He just says I spent millions of dollars in this stuff, okay? I don't know how much his net worth is, okay? But millions of dollars is a lot of money, okay? Just to say, like, millions of dollars in cars, millions of dollars in jewelry. I didn't know he was making that much money, okay? I'm just being honest here.
was fat, and I needed pacifiers to make me feel good about not putting in the work. When I was dealing with insecurities, I was a narcissist. So I felt like the world in the room.
I feel like it's very important, like, he is actually like digging deep into, like, okay, so why was I actually buying all this stuff, okay? All these liabilities, like, they make me look cool, like I'm really cool and stuff, but in reality, does it actually change me as a person? Does it make me different? Does it make me better? Not really. Like, appearances, yeah, it makes you pretty cool, but the inner you is still the same, right? I'm going a little deep here, but I get, trying to get to the core of the problem and not just looking at the surface level of things. I appreciate that.
Whatever setting I was in, it had to completely revolve around me. So whenever I bought jewelry, I made sure I bought the best of the best of the best, sir. I think I wasted about $2.5 million. All my jewelry was 18 karat gold.
2.5 million. 18 karat gold. And I noticed, like, he has like diamonds around them, so maybe that's why it's so expensive, although it does look like simple jewelry, but it's very expensive. $2.5 million in jewelry that usually, most likely, is not going to appreciate in value whatsoever, and it's not really going to hold any value whatsoever, because usually you buy something from a jewelry store and you go back and like, hey, I want to sell it back to you. Oh yeah, we'll give you half the price, or maybe like 75% off, something like that, okay? So it's not like you're buying an asset. Again, also a liability. If you want to turn gold into an asset, well, buy a bar of gold. That's different. But you can't wear it around your neck. That's the problem, right? You can't look fancy.
I made sure that all my diamonds was flawless, no inclusion. And the 911 Turbo that was on the Bryson 3 cover, I bought that car and only had it for not even 6 months, but I just wanted something new to make me feel good.
That's crazy. Buying a car and then keeping it. I think a 911 is like a Porsche. And those cars are very expensive, and they're also very bad, not that great. Like, people have like had accidents on them, like Paul Walker. But the idea is that, oh man, like when you buy a car like that, like very expensive car, and you hold on to it like brand new, like for 6 months, even just like selling it right then and there, you lose like 20-30% right then and there. That's why cars are such bad investments. Well, not even investment. You're buying a liability, so there's no investment actually going on there whatsoever.
Because I was suffering internally. Some of the stuff still got the tags on it. When I go through and look at shirts, $1,000, $1,800, I was like, this the stupidest shit on earth.
Yeah, man, it's insane. $1,000 on a t-shirt, like $2,000 on jeans. And I hear about this all the time. And at some point in my life, I thought it was normal also. I was like, you know what? I want to buy that shirt that costs $500. That can literally buy me 500 different t-shirts, and you notice that, when you're not making a lot of money, basically like everything around you is like normal stuff. But when you make a lot of money, there's always going to be something out there to get all your money from you. So it's very easy to spend money, but it's harder to make the money. But it's always going to be a way like, hey, do you want this fancy car? It's $1 million. Do you want this fancy shirt? It's $1,000. I think Floyd Mayweather bought like a jacket for like $25,000. And it has like some broken mirror on. I'm like, what is going on there? You know, so there's always a way to spend a lot of money, man. And this is not it. This is not it.
Biggest turning point for me with my spending that made me get in control of my spending was one of my prison stints. I was on supervised release, and it was a violation. So when you're on supervised release, you're supposed to tell your agent where you're going. Well,
okay, so he was like on parole basically, in a sense. I think that's like parole and stuff. And usually the story I hear is, well, I changed everything when I noticed like I was actually going downhill, and I noticed that I was actually didn't have as much money as I actually thought I had. Plus taxes came along. I was like, hey, I don't have that money to pay the taxes. So usually that's when I hear that like the switch clicks in their head.
Well, what happened was my agent got switched to another agent, so I wasn't reporting. I was trying to call the other agent, but I couldn't get in touch. So it was just big miscommunication. So they locked me up. When they locked me up, I left my wife in the streets.
Oh man, his wife, and he also has 2 kids. I can see right there, man. That is tough.
Pregnant with my youngest, with my baby boy. And
wow, so at the time his wife was pregnant, he just got locked up, and he was probably spending all this money. But you know, you buy the jewelry, you buy the cars first, and then you buy the house. It's such a stupid idea to do, let's be honest, right? But it's the way of the culture. The culture is the cooler you look, the more money you make. So in a way it's an investment for them, but in reality it's not at all.
I wasn't in the streets to make the money, so it wasn't coming like water. And when it was coming like water, I was running through it like a fish, drinking water. That was the time we really needed the money the most.
Yeah, so what he said, guys, basically there is that, you know, when you're in the streets, right, and you're making all the money right there. I know people that basically make a lot of money right then and there, and it just leaves their hand just like that, okay? They just spend it all. And since you're not there to actually make the money, like actively, well, now you're not making any money because he's locked up. And then he needed the money right then and there. But guess what? His wife, basically with her unborn child and also his child, are homeless because he's not there to provide. And he didn't make any investments either. So, horrible situation.
And we didn't have it. And it was one of the greatest eye-openers ever. After that, I really had to buckle down and be more conscious about what I was doing financially with my money.
Yeah, man, money is very important. You know, you get all this stuff. And by the way, I think for a lot of these guys, like, you know, the cars and also the jewelry, they're business expenses, but they take it to like a whole new level. You know, like you can deduct it from your taxes, but like to the point where you don't have any money whatsoever, it's just insane, okay? Just insane.
Fortunately, we was able to regroup and make a way. My God.
What's the best money you've ever spent? You know, and looking back, it's a great story. You know, a great story. Like usually it's like, hey, I made a mistake, I learned, and here's who I am today. That's a great story, right? But sometimes a better story is like, hey, I didn't make a mistake, and look who I am today. I'm even better. You know, so I like to learn from people's mistakes like this, and I don't want to go through it whatsoever myself.
The best money I ever spent was buying my blueberry farm. We had 3 wells on our property, and we have a fully stocked pond with fish. If push came to shove, if I really wanted to just say I'm gonna save money, I could go on a fish diet if I wanted to.
So I think he bought like a blueberry farm. That's what he said. And he also like has like a whole bunch of fish and stuff on his house. I think that's awesome, man. Like I want something like that also, like in the future, like to have like a farm where like I can be like self-reliant. And that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Like the animals and also like the fish and also like the fruits and everything. Like I like tending to land. Okay, I think that's pretty cool. But I wouldn't go there until like I have a lot of investments. Okay, because I don't plan on living on a farm. But I think it is pretty cool though. I appreciate it also.
It's like we steady adding on to our farm. We just keep buying land because that's the one thing God not really making no more of. Another thing.
Oh, that is crazy, man. I like this guy thinks like so precise, you know, like he thinks like, hey, you know, God isn't making this, so you know, the supply is fixed, right? I like that, you know. But the thing about buying land, if it's not really producing anything for you, it's also just having your money sit there, you know. So you want to make sure you buy land that's also a producing asset. For example, a property where you can actually rent it out, or for example, a farm that's actually making something and you're also selling from it, okay? But just like buying land to buy land to hold your money, it might hold the value, but it's not really producing any money for you.
That was, I guess, a great investment. We bought some other land that I think I'm gonna do like a housing development. I'm thinking about.
Oh man, that is crazy. But the idea is that I'm kind of getting the feeling here that he's like buying these things, but not really understanding like the entire like structure and the idea behind it. So I'll probably advise him like to get like someone to actually help him, like surround himself with people that actually know what they're actually doing to actually help him and actually reinforce the ideas and make sure that everything he's actually thinking is the correct way to do it. Okay, because sometimes you might have a clue of what to do, but you might not know what you're doing. Imagine you make like a housing development somewhere and basically no one lives around there. It's like a waste of money, you know. So you want to make sure you know exactly what you're doing. Just don't buy land. Make sure you understand exactly what you're doing.
Senior citizen housing, because they don't break nothing and they never leave. Another
I mean, they do leave, you know. I think like the average senior citizen like stays there for maybe like 10 to 20 years, you know. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's very expensive also, but they do leave. They do leave.
One of the smartest investments that we ever made as a team was investing in Breadwinners Association, our label, and growing our brand. At the time when it wasn't cool to sell merchandise, we always put our money back into our flip to grow our business with.
I think that's awesome. You know, I think it's awesome when, for example, an artist, instead of going like directly to like the distributor or whatever, they make like their own line, like their own like line of clothing or whatever they actually want to make. I think that's actually pretty cool, you know. But I think the main idea is that there's 2 ways or 3 ways it actually goes wrong. Number 1, they make a lot of money and they spend it all. He already did that. Number 2, they make a lot of money and they reinvest it all, and maybe that business does not work out, so basically they go bankrupt also. Number 3, I always think like, hey, if you have a business, just make sure you're taking money out the business to actually secure your future at the same time. That way it's growing, yeah, but if something goes wrong, like all your money is not in one place. That's called diversification, which is very important.
Merchandise, and now we're about to be in retail stores. Whenever you have a business, your business is your baby. So you gotta nurture your baby.
I used to think that also. I like a lot. But I think, for example, a business is kind of like a cow, right? A cow gives you milk, but you have to take care of it. So it's kind of like I take care of you. Yeah, you're my cow. Here's some grass, here's some corn, whatever they eat. But I'm also going to milk you and get milk out of you. And I'm also going to sell that milk or drink that milk, okay? That's the entire idea. A baby, you kind of like hold on to it. You give a lot. And then in the end, it gives you something. That's a good long-term perspective. But if the baby turns into like a bad person midway and just goes bankrupt, then you're kind of screwed, you know? That's why I like the example of a cow and not a baby. You want to start milking that cow as soon as possible, okay? I take some, but I'm also going to make sure you're okay at all times. And you're also growing and also making me more income, okay? That's the idea there.
Financially, spiritually, physically, mentally. If you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand.
I actually like that a lot. If you can hold it in your mind, you can hold it in your hands. I actually heard from a person that said basically everything that's around us has been just from the mind of somebody else. You know, every single thing you see around you is like the ideas. Everybody has an idea, and some people have an idea, great ideas, but don't do anything with it. But some people have ideas, maybe not the best ideas, but they go out there and they do something great with it. And that's the core thing, you know? Do something with the ideas you actually have and the thoughts you actually have.
Best piece of financial advice I ever got was the 10% rule. And the 10% rule was this: if I can't buy it 10 times, I don't need it. And instead of watching every dime,
I think that's crazy, man. Like the 10% rule. I've heard, for example, if you can't buy it 3 times in cash, you can't like buy it, or twice in cash. If you can't buy something 10 times, then you don't need it. I think that's actually very excessive because imagine they're trying to buy, for example, a house or something like that. But then again, it's an investment. I think he's talking about like liability. So if you can't buy, for example, an iPhone 10 times and spend, for example, $10,000 on it, then don't buy it. You don't need it. You know, I get that concept right there.
watch every penny. At the end of the day, you should be able to know exactly what you spent every day.
Yeah. So like I said before in the beginning of the video, I knew exactly where this was going, okay? And it's basically to watch the money and where it's going. Like the dimes is what you actually make, the pennies is what you actually spend. And the idea is that, you know what? I don't really care for a micro budget, like where I know exactly where all my money is going, but I do care about having a macro budget, meaning that I know exactly where every penny is actually going. Now, let me explain here, okay? For example, I'll make a budget that basically says, hey, I have this much money, for example, towards spending this much on this, for example, like having fun, or my expenses, or my investments, or my debts, but I don't want to track every dollar. I just want to know, hey, all the money in this account here is just for that, so that way I'm not worried about it. By the way, I have a full video on this on my main channel. I'll link it down below also. Maybe that might help you guys too.
Some rich white guy. I think I was sitting next to him on the airplane. I was like, are you a billionaire? He was like, yeah, I'm a billionaire. And I was like, how you got to be a billionaire? He said,
that's just crazy, right? Like how you just like on an airplane and you see someone and they're like, are you a billionaire? Yeah, I'm a billionaire. It's an insane thing, you know, but it's like it's the situations you actually put yourself into to actually meet those people. If you don't go out there and network, you'll never meet those people. But if you can't have access to them, that's fine also. You can always have access to them basically by reading their books, taking their courses, and doing all that stuff also. You know, everything, all the information is out there now for free, usually online.
by watching every penny. And then I heard my brother ACORN say, if you can't buy it 10 times, you don't need to buy it. That's the 10% rule.
Oh, so that's what ACORN said. I think the problem with ACORN was basically that at one point, ACORN actually had a gas station in his backyard. If you guys don't know, that's a real story. And the idea is that this guy was spending so much money just on nonsense. And then he switched it around and he became a better person. And that's the awesome thing, right? But I think maybe he had that strict rule to make sure you didn't go out there and buy something stupid, okay? Because that's the whole thing.
And I try to live by that as much as possible. One thing I learned from spending all of that money was this. When you really need it, you don't have it because you spent it on nothing but BS.
Yeah, I think the financial term is basically if you spend all your money on liabilities, you'll be disappointed because at the end those liabilities lose value and they don't make you anything. But if you spend all your money on assets, things that actually make you money and produce value and appreciate with time, the idea is that money will always be there for you whenever you need help, and even when you don't need it, it's there.
You have to save your money so one day your money can save you. And
oh, that is a great investment. That is a great idea right there. You have to save your money so one day your money can save you.
That's why I want to be an investor. I want passive income. I want money to make money for me for the rest of my life. True wealth is not of the pocket. It's of the heart and of the mind. It's the soul.
All right, so he's getting into like the more like spiritual stuff now here, but I like the idea of like, hey, you want to build passive income. And you know, the idea with a lot of rappers, musicians, and like a lot of these guys is basically they only make money when they do something. And once you stop doing something and they're not as popular anymore, well, the money's not the same. They lose the actual revenue, but their expenses are like literally like the same, okay? And they have really high expenses. So in reality, you have to have passive income. So usually you have to spend most of your career basically investing your money so you can live that exact same lifestyle once things actually slow down for you. And that's the entire idea here. But I actually like Kevin Gates. I like that he actually learned his lesson. But the entire idea is, guys, you know, I think he needs like a personal advisor to actually help him with everything and his ideas, or just like surround himself with like better people. But overall, it's a pretty good rags to riches story, and a pretty good like, hey, he learned something and he grew from it story. I like it a lot, okay? But comment down below, guys, and let me know exactly what you thought about this. Also, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching. As always, if you like this video, well, like this video. Also, if you're new here, subscribe and hit the bell so you're notified when I post a new video, which is every single day. Also, follow me on Instagram, Bryson. And before I go, if you want to watch another video basically on an athlete, a rookie athlete from the NFL that actually spent $1 million, well, watch the video right here and click on. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching, and as always, peace.